So here we are. I'm ready to prepare this for its first bit of stretching. I'm going to be wrapping the back side of this first. I spent a good amount of time debating which side I was gonna wrap up first, and I think that I'm gonna wind up going with the wrapping the B side. This is gonna be the back of it. This is where the handle is gonna be stretched across here. So to prepare it for stretching, got a couple of scar marks in here. I got some glue drips, some spaces where the planking is sitting proud of everything else around it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna smooth it out. I'm gonna smooth all this stuff out a little bit, and then I'm gonna rough it up. And then at that point, it's gonna be time for putting the fabric on. So smooth it out. Boy, do I hope you can see this. I am using a card scraper. This is something that I made myself. I had an old saw blade kicking around that just wasn't any good anymore, so I cut it up into a couple of pieces. It's not the best steel for these, and I'm also just not very good at setting them up, but for the most part, it works. I got into using these a little while ago, and I'm really liking it. For those of you who don't know, this is just a piece of steel. It's got one edge that's just honed flat, and then the burr that forms when you do this just gets flattened straight down on top of this, and it forms two little hooks, one on either side of this, and that'll actually cut the wood fibers as you scrape. So some people view it as a superior alternative to sandpaper. Personally, I just think it's different. It's kind of relaxing to do it too. Nobody likes sanding, but scraping is all right. So I'm going over glue drip. once more. Now we are finally at the point of gluing on the first layer of fabric. So things I need for this: got a gallon of glue, chip brushes, just another pan to make things more manageable, and a T50 stapler with, of course, staples. Now, before I start gluing this, there's a couple of things to note. That we got the wood grain, like I said just before, running in this direction. This is the top and bottom of the shield. These are the left and right side. And linen is a straight woven fabric, meaning that it's got its fibers running in two directions like this. It's important, I think, in this case, to have the fibers running straight across as well as straight up and down. Reason being, if you have it going any other way, I think that the fiber, my hypothesis here is that the fibers wind up losing a little bit of their strength. Now, I'm not actually going to test this because there's just really no need for me to do so. Yes. I get free cheese delivery, it's great. Okay. So, bearing all this in mind, I'm going to pour some glue into here. I'm using Type Bond 3, just because I've used this stuff extensively for quite a few things, and honestly, it's just a great glue. No, it is not a natural glue. It's a PVA, it's a synthetic glue, but its adhesion is excellent for porous substances at least. I mean, it's not going to stick to plastic, it's not going to stick to metal, it's not an epoxy, but it's an excellent wood glue. It's really good if you have any kind of outdoor furniture project, because it's marketed as being waterproof. And I mean, I've got some cutting boards that I've made from it, that I've made using that, and I mean they've sat in the sink for a week and come back out of the water and been just fine. Now that I don't do the dishes frequently, but getting back to this, just adding a little bit of water to it, just gonna make it a little easier to spread. Let's see, just take one of my offcuts from the circle and mix that up. Just a little bit of water will do. Any more and it's just gonna get too runny. I think I may actually have added a little too much. Typically, hide glue would be used here. And as I stated in my last video, I'm just not using it. I've never used it for anything before. It requires that a consistent temperature be kept on it, and I just don't have a glue pot. I don't have hide glue. It's the sort of thing that's hard to find locally. And I think that at this point, hide glue has been used for thousands of years. It's been found in Egyptian tombs. And it's pretty much made just from boiling animal bones and parts until they just kind of reach a goo. And then that can be applied to various kinds of surfaces. For my purposes, though, I'll be using this stuff. So this is just about good to go here. So I've already got my linen cut to size. Just gonna pull it off of here and make sure my little support blocks are still in the corners. Make sure I've got my grain running the way I want it to. Yeah. And so I'm just gonna start throwing this on here. I'm using These chip brushes, they're like $1 a piece. Really, really shitty brushes if you're actually trying to paint something. But as far as like spreading glue or something like that is concerned, they're just fine. I'm going to pull you in a little closer just so you can see what we're looking at. If you can see that, it's just a nice sized film over the whole thing. Once again, fairly even. Not too thick, but still applied liberally enough. Applied liberally enough that it can actually soak into the fabric. Okay. Why is my recording timer counting down? That's very weird. I'm going to stop this now and restart it. There we go. Okay, heading back to this. Actually, I see a little bit on the edges that's a little thin. At this point, this stuff doesn't have a terribly long work time. So once you got it on here, you got to move kind of quickly. And this stuff is so absorbent, it'll almost begin to stick immediately, and you almost don't even have to stretch it. Just spreading it almost seems to do enough. So with this, in this corner, see, I've got a few staples here. I'm just going to tack it down into this corner once again, along the direction of the grain. I need to have the fibers going this way. What are you doing? Oh. Yay, battery's low. And okay, good. We're still rolling. Here, I'm going to go to the other side. I'm going to pull it taut. Staple that down. And you see I got these lines over here. Pull them this way, for the most part, make that go away. So, gotta kind of do a lift and pull on this, just because of the glue. Coming back over to this side. From this point, sort of pulling down on it, grab your hand and work at it. You see some kind of ridge like this, pull. If it's going this way and you need it to go that way, you need all this fabric to go this way. So you pull in here a little bit, and you just push it out, just push the bubbles out of it. Oh, and now we've got these 2 points of contact in these corners. So the next direction you pull is going to be straight diagonally at 45 degrees. So actually, now that I've got these like this, just since I've got enough here, I'm going to come around to the underside of the table, fire in a couple staples there. As I refill my stapler. Okay, locked and loaded. Back around to this side, you see I got a lot of these bumps right over here. So once again, same story. I'm just pulling against those other 2 sides. A couple of bubbles over here. Flatten them out, and always pushing towards the outside of the workpiece. My block seems to have gotten pushed underneath some more. It's all right. Circles are actually pretty hard to stretch, so that's sort of why I picked this square table to work on. Okay, feel it. It's not going to feel like there's a whole lot going on. This is still the back side. I think that when I do the front of the shield, I think that I'm going to put quite a bit more glue on. I think I sort of underestimated just how much glue this stuff was going to eat. For now, I'm happy with this. I'm going to let this sit. Ideally, I should let it sit until sometime tomorrow. But this will be good. I think I'm going to call this a video. At this point, there's not a whole lot more that I can do without going into a new part of the build. So I think what I'm going to do is tomorrow get this flipped over, smooth out the other side. That's actually going to be my A side, because with that I can sort of contour it out a little bit. I can thin it out on these edges. After doing that, I can attach my center grip, or cut and attach a center grip to it. And at that point, we're ready to wrap the face, and then this project's going to be shaping up pretty soon, and it's going to shape up pretty quick. So it's exciting. Can't wait to get to it. Anyway, Dan Halliday here, over and out. This is part 3 of my Viking shield. Still quite a bit more to go. So keep the views coming and shit like that. You know, like I said, whatever people do on YouTube, I don't know.